Hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you. So this is rewarding and incentivizing contribution in LocalGov Drupal. I'm Finn. I'm from Oxford. I'm tech lead of LocalGov Drupal. I've been working with Drupal for ages. I work at Open Code. You can contact me if you want. I would love other things like sailing and chilies and Zumba and good things. But at LocalGov Drupal, we have a great team, including Maria as our accessibility lead, Tim, who's our communications lead out there somewhere, hopefully here in a minute, Mark, Eeks, who's my Drupal guru. He taught me everything I know about Drupal, pretty much. Aaron, community lead, Stephen, Drupal dev lead, and Will, our benevolent dictator, who started off the whole thing back in 2019. So LocalGov Drupal, the publishing platform created by councils for councils. It's a Drupal distribution. Everyone knows what a Drupal distribution is, right? So we can skip to the next slide, but just in case you're listening to the recording, you can check out what a Drupal distribution is there. It started back in 2020 when Will Callahan was working at Brighton and Hove, developing a Drupal website, and then went to Croydon and started developing another Drupal website and said, why bother recreating all of this? Why don't we just do the same thing? So Andy Broomfield right here said, yes, okay, I think, along with your colleagues. Andy Wallace, okay, the other Andy. The Andys, allowed Croydon to basically copy all the code configuration and therefore create another site. This led to the genesis of the Drupal distribution. Fast forward to 2021, we've got another 4 councils, taking the total to 6, 2022 to 16, 2023, we've got another 35 councils, taking the total to 51. Sorry, not 51 councils, 51 websites using the LocalGov Drupal. So, it's exponentially been growing. I want to know what the stats are for 2024, actually. You don't have that just yet. But what does it mean in terms of Drupal's status in the sort of CMS usage of UK councils? This is from 2019, and it was in second place after Jadu with 61, which was Drupal 7 and Drupal 8 sites. And 5 years later, 2024, it's way ahead with 90 sites. It's winning. We're winning. Drupal is and interestingly, Jadu is the same there with 68 councils, which is relatively static, which is kind of interesting. This is in no small part due to LocalGov Drupal and the success. But there's a long way to go. If you look at the same data on a pie chart, you can see there's only about a quarter of sites on Drupal. There's a lot of pie to be sliced up. Jadu, Umbraco, Goss, WordPress. If we can break into those, convert people away from there, I think there's a lot of scope for Drupal, for Drupal suppliers, for councils to come and join the Drupal, come into the lovely warm waters of Drupal. So maybe most of you know what's in it, but a bunch of content types, pre-configured, things that councils need, service landing pages, directories, etc. Some workflows and content moderation, good things in looking at the audience. I think you probably all know what's in here. Demo.localgov Drupal, you can see what the site's like. It's a bit dated now. I think we need to bring it up to date with some more fresher content, but it's a good place for councils to go and have a play, log in, explore the content types, 20 content types, covered across 53 modules, and the all-important LocalGov base theme, which is very easy to extend and customize and very accessible out of the box, thanks to our accessibility lead, Maria. And here comes some friends. Come in. We thought we'd get started because we didn't want to wait. You know all this anyway. Briefly, timeline. Again, maybe this is not news to most people, but we started, or timeline and funding actually. We started in 2019 with some core funding from the Local Digital Fund, the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. Thank you very much to them. And this discovery period was really, can councils share code? The answer was yes. It's interesting that, there was a bunch of research. We didn't just spend £75,000 on answering that question quite so simply. Rapidly just moving on, shifting through this, we won't delay too long, but like 2020, we had some more funding to refactor the code that Brighton and Hove had provided into a more generic distribution, renaming things, establishing governance procedures. 2021, another 350,000. 2022, another 425. So all in, just shy of £1 million worth of funding from central government And really, this would not have happened without some seed funding. It wouldn't, lots of councils were already using Drupal, but they weren't collaborating. So it just goes to show you need to kind of create, you need some funding, you need something to create the framework around which to start collaborating. And in fact, some of that previous talk sounded like we're touching on the same kind of thing between universities, like how to seed the collaboration. So collaboration thrives with coordination, and that takes a bit of money. This is Dries' blog post from 2019, Balancing Makers and Takers to Scale and Sustain Open Source, is great to go back and read again and again. I'm always finding different bits, but this is the bit I pulled out this time, which is from research around the tragedy of the commons and the collective, Olson's work on collective action, that groups don't self-organize to maintain the common goods they depend on. They need some kind of seeding. They need some kind of coordination, some kind of centralized team or. Anyway, architecture of participation is an interesting term, which I came across from this guy, Doug Belshaw at weareopen.co. Do go and check out his blog. It's amazing. He did a lot of work with us in the early days. I need a glass of water, sorry. To help us set up our governance structures. He wrote a great blog post, which is a link to there. By the way, these slides are available at localgovdrupal.org/DCE2025 if anyone wants to take them away later. In 2004, Tim O'Reilly coined the term the architecture of participation to describe the nature of systems that are designed for user contribution. So I think participation and contribution may be interchangeable in this way. 8 pillars of the architecture of participation is something that Doug Belshaw came to used to describe the architecture of participation. I'm going to just go through these, so I won't read them out right now, but you can see them. And again, props to We Are Open for these lovely graphics, which are available on their website. A clear mission. The big idea. I think we're quite good on this. Our vision is for a public sector all public sector digital services to be accessible, evidence-based, and open source. So quite bold, quite big. Not just Drupal, but everything. We've got a clear mission, which is to improve the experience of citizens in using public sector websites. So everybody, basically. Again, pretty bold, but clearly we're doing that with Drupal. And we've got a nice strapline, which is the publishing platform created by councils for councils. So I think we're good on the big idea, the clear mission, pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is the invitation to participate. So this is the idea that people need to be invited to come and join the participation and collaborate. Doug distinguishes between passive invitations and active invitations. Passive invitations being things like being open, GPL as a license, having GitHub and Drupal.org repositories, documentation, event listings, these kind of things that people can find. But he defines active invitations as being even more important than this. Like, we'd love you to come to the next tech drop-in meeting to review any problems, or please could you provide a pull request, or inviting people to co-maintain a module, directly inviting people to events or meetings so that it's in their calendars, and inviting people to present at meetups, so Drupal camps, LocalGov camps. So we're trying to, as much as possible, push forward with active invitations to really, grow the community, grow the participation and contribution. Onboarding, easy onboarding is important, but we have councils and we have suppliers. Their needs are slightly different. Aaron and Tim run the onboarding process really well for councils, an introductory meeting. We have a contributor agreement, which kind of evolved from our memorandum of understanding. Getting people to agree to that is really kind of like setting the scene for the conduct in the community. We have an announcement to kind of publicise the fact that people are coming in. Invoicing a payment, which is optional for councils. We'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. And then tech onboarding, and the potential to become a member of Open Digital Cooperative, which is the parent non-profit organisation, kind of akin to the Drupal Association in a microcosm. So onboarding for councils, and then custom support depending on what they need. Do they have internal Drupal teams? Do they have external suppliers? So that's going really well for councils. For suppliers, slightly different. We'll come to the supplier sort of subscriber thing in a bit, but there's a process again. There's an interest form, which I'll link to in a bit in case anybody's interested. Again, meeting, contributor agreement, invoice for paying if you're going to become a supplier subscriber, to which then gives you additional access to things, and also, importantly, the ability to become a member and have a say in how the organisation is run. Again, custom support depending on what people need. So obviously, yeah, onboarding is really important. We're continuing to iterate and improve on that. There's links to more of that on this slide if you are interested. Modular approach is, where are we up to now? 4, 5, fifth column maybe, pillar of the architecture. And this isn't about the code, this is about the community, right? So different people need different things. We have tech, we have content people, we have product people. And so I think we're quite good at separating these out into interest groups, skills. We have technical meetings, we have less technical meetings. People can really find the place within the community where their skills and their interests align. And then we have lots of Slack channels which similarly divide that up into interest groups, and technical and less technical being the obvious separation. Strong leadership. Sixth pillar, should have numbered these. This comes back to that kind of like, coordination and of the community. We do have a really good team, sort of headed up by Will, our sort of founder of the whole project. We've got me as tech lead, Aaron as community lead, Stephen, who's not here today, as Drupal dev lead, Eeks, my Drupal guru. Where's he gone? He's not here. Hello. Thank you. Maria, our accessibility lead, Mark, our front-end lead, and Andrew Katz, I wanted to mention. He's not actually sort of so active these days, but he was really instrumental in the early days, being an open source lawyer, probably one of the best in the UK that I'm aware of, really helping to make those arguments to councils and to decision makers that actually open source is okay, like it's good and for these reasons, and you don't need to, worry too much about that. So yeah, strong leadership is important, and I think we're doing quite well. Ways of working open. This is probably nothing, to sort of groundbreaking to you all, but we're on GitHub, we're on Drupal.org. We've got a public-facing docs site. We've got Luma, which is where all of our events are listed. We've got the Slack channels. We've got a YouTube channel with lots of videos of presentations from over time, so people can, sort of catch up and we can reuse and repurpose useful information. We've got the demo site. We've even got a Blue Sky social, which I only found out yesterday. It's good. So we've got lots of open stuff, but people can find us at lots. But I think we're doing, we're obviously open by design. Back channels, and water coolers. I think you all know what this means, but kind of like non-worky kind of interactions. We do things like check-ins, check-outs, social meetups. We had LocalGov Drupal Camp last year in Birmingham, which was great. There was, nearly 100 people there. We're planning to do that more. We have one-to-one check-ins, and Drupal Camp in real life was great. Anyway, things we could do. I was thinking actually, lots of organisations have other like Slack channels where they're kind of like, book clubs, exercise rants, foodies, like people do interesting things. We don't do so much of that at the moment. Maybe that's something we could look at. Social Zoom calls, some people do that where we're going to not talk about work, we're just going to hang out. And but Greenwich Council, I'm doing some work with, on Fridays, they have this thing called Friday Bangers, which is absolutely great. Somebody chooses a topic, and everybody else has to choose a tune from that topic, and they post like a YouTube video of that tune, and then people vote on it by the end of the thing. So like I found out so much new music over the last few weeks on a Friday while doing other work. So I think that would be a really good thing to do. Maybe in the LocalGov Drupal community, I don't know whether 500 people posting tunes on maybe on a Monday or something, maybe once a month. So yeah, anything that kind of shakes things up a bit and also reveals people's different sides. It's really interesting to see what somebody posts as, music reveals a lot about a person, I think. So anyway, lots more things we can do on that front. Celebrating milestones is obviously really important. We've got loads of stickers. I think that's the main way that we celebrate our milestones, except, I have got one of the stickers there, which is our 50 councils. But we had the discovery, the alpha, the beta, particular people's pets featured quite heavily in the early days. Yeah, good stickers, lovely designs, and that kind of helps, and they're real stickers, people can, stick them on their laptops. We've also got this idea around badges, which has been floating around. I don't know if we're actually doing it yet. Are we doing it yet? The kind of badge thing where is pushing towards that, yeah. So, the idea that, digital badges that you can say, yeah, this person was a community member, this person was part of this steering group, or this person did this thing, and so add it to your kind of digital sort of credentials of celebrating milestones, rewarding kind of contribution at the same time. So they're the 8 pillars of the architecture of participation as defined by Doug and Laura at We Are Open. And I think there's a sort of 9th one, which is the sort of recognizing and rewarding the contribution, which kind of comes into celebrating milestones, but really kind of deserves to stand on its own. So before we get into that, all of that architecture of participation takes coordination and takes time from the core team, which requires some money to pay for some people's time. It doesn't just happen naturally. People don't, as the research showed from Drees's blog post. So briefly on our funding model, we have suppliers, mostly Drupal providers, but also non-Drupal providers who do research and stuff, who pay some money into the pot. 19 subscribers at the moment. We have councils who also subscribe and pay some money into the pot, 35 of those at the moment, and growing. We also have supporting partners who pay some money into the pot more for visibility or alignment. They're not necessarily working with Drupal. They're there. They pay some money into the pot as well. And Open Digital Cooperative sits at the top. It is this non-profit cooperative organisation that we established a couple of years ago. The subscription fees get paid to Open Digital Cooperative. Open Digital Cooperative then procures core team resources in the shape of product lead, tech lead, development, hosting, comms lead, community lead, etc. And then that core team coordinates and provides the support and dev work and coordinates additional volunteer time to continue to grow the product and hopefully grow the subscriptions, and then hopefully we have this nice virtuous circle that continues to grow. Briefly on the turnover, just how that works. In 2023, we had £210,000 turnover, which is not too bad, of which about 40% was from councils and about 35% from suppliers, and most of the rest from supporting partners. 2024, a little bit more, 256k, which I think was the amount of memory in my first Spectrum. Is it? Oh no, it was 128. No, yeah, that was quite a lot back then, wasn't it? Yeah, council subscriptions are going up as a percentage. We're getting more councils on. I think the scope and growth in councils is probably bigger than that of suppliers, so we expect to see that probably grow over time. But anyway, we're going in the right direction. Briefly on the spending breakdown, most of it goes on dev and tech, maybe a quarter of it-ish on comms and community to coordinate all the good things that we've seen in the pillars of participation, architecture of participation, excuse me. So incentivizing the contribution, the financial contribution is really important, and we do need to incentivize it, right? So for council subscribers, it seems to be relatively clear that if they put a bit of money in the pot, or put some money in the pot, then we've got more to develop, and that they benefit because they get website software that is getting better and continuing to iterate and answer their needs. So I think the incentive is relatively clear for councils, as is evidenced by the fact that we've got 35 subscribers and growing. For supplier subscribers, it's a little bit different because they're mostly private companies. But there's obviously like visibility. Well, we'll come to the supplier directory in a sec. But yeah, being seen, I think, well, actually back in the day, the supplier subscribers that were first sort of up for giving money were more of the, it just seemed like a good idea, right? It seemed like the right thing to do. It seemed like we're going to grow this, we need to continue to fund it, and we need to grow it. Fast forward to now, and we've got a new certified subscriber directory, which is on the right there. And I'll move on. Yeah. So, sorry. So this has suddenly become quite interesting because councils are starting to specify LocalGov Drupal as a requirement for their tenders, which is really good. Not very long ago, councils were speaking to me saying, we can't even specify open source, it's anti-competitive. I'm like, really? I don't think, you know. So procurement, like, you know, is kind of suspicious of open source, suspicious of Drupal. Now we're getting people saying, actually, LocalGov Drupal is what we want. Please come and, you know, and give us that. Not only that, but earlier this year, West Sussex County Council, upon opening the tender, stated that the bidder must appear on the LocalGov Drupal supplier directory. So that suddenly means that this list of suppliers are the only people who they're willing to consider, which is really great for us in terms of incentivizing subscription to the project, and hopefully means that we can continue to grow it, continue to fund the collaboration. So yeah, that's a big change. Well, how about time-based contributions? So this is, you know, either volunteer-based or maybe companies paying their employees their time to contribute to the system, to the project. Another lovely slide from We Are Open. They've got loads of lovely pictures there. Creative Commons, so thank you, Doug and Laura. This was from a survey to open source developers about the motivations for contributing. I just thought it was interesting because like, there's a few there that I hadn't really thought about. Obviously, paid work and reputation and recognition being clear to me. Obviously, altruism and political alignment, you know, is the right thing to do. But also gaining experience, right? So especially younger, like, you know, people fresh to Drupal or fresh to open source in general or fresh to coding or whatever. It's a really good way to you know, well, it's obviously a motivation to contributing. So Drupal.org does this really well. We've heard a bit about that already today. And we've heard about well, in the keynote, the relatively recent, last year maybe, the Drupal certified supplier scheme. And so we've basically, as I'll show you in a sec, sort of like taken this on board and copied it because it's great. It's a really good idea. We already had subscribers, but yeah, the Drupal.org. It's all up there on the Drupal.org scheme. Depending on the size of the organisation, depends on how much you pay as an annual fee, and then contribution credits weighted to give you like bronze, silver, gold, platinum status. And lots of you, I'm sure will be aware, that gives you more visibility or more access to the Drupal community. And it seems to be working, I think. Anyway, we've taken that on board and we're discussing with the Drupal Association and basically created something rather similar. An annual fee, depending on the size of the organisation, based on number of employees or full-time equivalents, and then tiers, currently bronze, silver, gold, depending on how much contribution. So we're hoping that through incentivizing contributions to give you more visibility and access, then this will encourage more time-based contribution over the year. This is very early days. We've just brought that in in the last month or so. Certified supplier benefits. So everyone, once they become a certified supplier, has basic access, so they'll be listed on the directory, which is obviously important, but also access to the Slack workspace, which controversially we've kind of limited to suppliers who are paying now. Seems to be working, but all councils can get in for free. That's fine. But then bronze, silver, gold, you get sort of more coverage on the website. This is like early days. We're tinkering with the specifics, but same kind of thing as on Drupal.org. More contribution, more coverage. Hopefully, elevate your profile, and hopefully, it seemed to be valuable. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to credit contributions? Well, we know that on Drupal.org, you can credit through issues for the company that I'm working for and for the customer that the company is working for. So for open code, working for LocalGov Drupal, and there's one that Rupert did, working at Chicken for LocalGov Drupal. So we've got the facilities on Drupal.org, which is great, but we're not on Drupal.org for most of our things. So, yeah, first, a bunch of challenges, basically. We've got, 89 repositories on GitHub. We do have the LocalGov and the LocalGov microsites profiles on Drupal.org as well, kind of mirrored for visibility. But currently, we're still doing all our development and issue tracking on GitHub. So we need to migrate them. It's a big challenge. And some of those have got a lot of open issues. The profile, for example, what's that? 168 open issues. So that's not trivial to migrate. At the time of talking, Drupal.org is still using the issue queue that's been there for a long time. In the next couple of months, we understand that it's going to be moving to the GitLab issues, which might make it, you're laughing like it's not going to happen. No.
I actually think it is.
So moving to a GitLab-based issue queue with all of the APIs and potential to migrate from GitHub to GitLab might make it quicker and easier for us to migrate a bunch of issues, open issues across. We will see. In the meantime, I think we're going to need to target repositories that don't have a bunch of open issues, or just freeze the issue queues and move them across. But the important thing is we need the issue queues in Drupal.org in order to be able to track the credits, track the issues, credit where credit's due, and link it to people's organizations. Second challenge, crediting non-code contribution, because a lot of contribution is not coding. It's like being in meetings, coming to places like this. It's writing documentation, doing accessibility audits. There's a lot of things that we need to credit that's not. The advice from the Drupal Association has been to set up a separate project on Drupal.org, like a non-code project where we have an issue queue, and we can create issues for things like type drop-in meeting or go into Drupal Camp England, let people either comment on that or credit them directly, and then close that issue, and then that adds to the credits that they have on Drupal.org. So that's actually quite a quick win. We've got it there now, and we can start doing that. We have started doing it now, as you can see. But it does take a bit of management, right? A bit of an overhead. Like at the end of a meeting, somebody needs to go, right, there's an issue here, either come and credit yourself if you want, say that you were there, or give people the credits if you're the person managing the meeting. So there is a bit of an admin overhead. I think that's just part of the deal, right? It's just like, maybe we can automate that, I don't know.
There's an API, so if you can create for creating issues and commenting on issues, so if you create the tool, it could be used by you and other.
Okay, yeah, so there is an API. Maybe we could do that. Link it to meetings. Mark? Yeah? This is where the ideas get spawned. So yeah, anything we can do to increase the efficiency of these things and I guess accuracy and not miscrediting people for the participation, I think that would be good. Third challenge, onboarding people to Drupal.org. As many of us will know, when you first go to Drupal.org, it's a kind of daunting place, and there was something called the Drupal ladder back in the day. I don't know if it's still around. In fact, I tried to find it yesterday and it doesn't work, wasn't it? The idea of the Drupal ladder was bring people into Drupal.org, create an account, an individual account, show them how to create an organization account, show them how to comment on the first issue, like handhold them through that process. And I think we need to do that with, councils and suppliers who may be less familiar with Drupal.org, which is going to be a bit of a process, but I think, it will turn out to be valuable because we'll be able to credit them. They'll be there. So, all right. I went to the DrupalLadder.org and it was just like it'd gone, it's evaporated. We're going to need to do that within our organisation. It's already starting to happen. Lots more people are actually on Drupal.org as a result of this coming in last month. Fourth challenge: counting issue credits. As you said, there's APIs on Drupal. There's good documentation on the Drupal.org APIs. We can query, get a bunch of JSON out, which tells us which people and which organizations have been credited on which issues. We need to script this in order to only look at certain projects. There's a bunch of projects that are LocalGov Drupal, and then everything else on Drupal.org we don't really care about. So we need to work out, we need to write some scripts and automation to make that repeatable and easy to understand. We're also going to credit maybe issues on other key modules that we rely on heavily, like group module or domain for the microsites, because they're modules that we interact with regularly on issue queues. How often? Probably every 3 months. Aaron, is that right? We're looking at maybe tallying it every 3 months, and then assessing the level of the subscribers. whether they're reaching these milestones. And on that, the weighting of issues. So everyone gets at least one credit for a credit, but then some things we want to incentivize more than others. A key one there, migrating an LGD module to Drupal.org. Like, we need to get it done. So like, if people do it, let's give them 10 times weighting on those credits. User research case studies, let's give them 3 times weighting. Again, this is subject to change, and we're going to work out what works and see what, but at least that gives us some levers to pull and push to try and incentivize different areas of contribution, assuming this actually sticks with people, measures with people, vibrates, resonates is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, a bunch of challenges, but I think none of them are insurmountable, apart from maybe migrating all the issues. Briefly, I was just thinking about other benefits to demonstrating contributions. It's not just all about sort of incentivizing and sort of like having more visibility for subscribers, but like individuals, there's always the ethics and values. We're sort of talking like a bunch of us do end up just doing open source contribution that, in our spare time because we like it. We think it's, it's a good thing to do. Demonstrates your track record as like part of your CV. If you've got an ongoing track record, especially on Drupal.org with your user profile. General kudos. There's lots of motivations that are maybe not directly financial, I guess. For councils, again, aligning with the ethics and values, I think is a good push. But also positioning councils as pro-open source. I think we could do with more of that. And I think councils it would be great if, more councils kind of got on board with that. Also attracting good developers, right? If a council is seen to be on Drupal.org with contribution credits and stuff, and like I'm looking for a job and they're hiring, like I might want to go and work for Brighton and Hove because they get this open source thing. They're contributing to Drupal.org. Like that's the kind of council I want to work with, So I think that's a really important thing to consider as a council organisation. And maybe increasing chances of collaboration with other councils, which is where this all started, right? If they can see that people, each other are doing open source stuff, then hopefully that drives more. For suppliers, again, ethics and values, I think that's important, certainly in all the organisations that I've ever worked in as a supplier. Status as a certified supplier, we've seen that's now a real tangible thing. It may lead to being included in certain tender opportunities which you otherwise wouldn't have. Again, attracting good people to come and work for your organisation. And enhancing your Drupal.org profile, which is obviously an important thing to any of us who are suppliers in the Drupal world. Just on that, actually, I've got a slide of Anatech, which is a Drupal development agency I'm sure most of us are aware of. They are one of the Drupal certified partners at the platinum level. So they're scoring the points that take them to that point, that level. But through this scheme that we're doing now as well, they're also a certified supplier for LocalGov Drupal. So any of the issues that we're looking at crediting them for LocalGov Drupal are also going to be credits for Drupal.org in general. So it's bonus points. It's like a win-win situation. And that's something that, is part of the motivation of this is like it ties into the Drupal.org ecosystem, but we've got a little subset of it to help us, encourage people to contribute to LocalGov Drupal. So all in all, I think it's an interesting point that we're at. Hopefully this time next year we'll be reporting on the success of it or otherwise. But yeah, we're at a good place. And thanks mainly to Aaron for like driving this forward in the last 3 to 6 months, working out how to structure this and, through conversations with suppliers and the Drupal Association and the wider community. And, I think we're in an interesting place to push it forward. And I think that's it. Oh, yeah, summarizing. LocalGov Drupal wouldn't have happened without seed funding. Like, people don't just randomly start collaborating, it seems. Don't know why, but they don't. So you need something. So maybe like on the universities thing, we need just someone to inject some cash and say, right, Cambridge, Oxford, Edinburgh, let's sit you down for, and start working out how we can collaborate and build stuff together. Collaboration at scale requires core funding to facilitate and coordinate the pillars of participation that we've seen. And, that's how we're generating, or why we need to generate some financial input. Public sector procurement can require LocalGov Drupal, which is really cool, and Drupal in general. So I think I want to see more of that. I want to see more councils saying, we want LocalGov Drupal. And more councils saying, we want people who are on the LocalGov Drupal certified supplier list, because that would be good. Time-based contribution can be recognised through Drupal.org. I think we all know that, but bringing that into our ecosystem, I think, is a really important thing. And contribution to LocalGov Drupal is also contribution to Drupal. So it's a win-win for suppliers in our world. That's it. That's all I've got time for. Thank you to all the team, some of whom are here. And, just a quick call to action, join us if your supplier is interested. Go to localgovdrupal.org/join. If you want to see all of the events, go to lu.ma/localgovdrupal. Sign up to our newsletter. Give us a shout. Email me. Email Aaron. Keep in touch and spread the word. Thank you very much. Anyone got any questions? Yeah, do we have where's the mic? Where's the magic mic? Okay, behind you, it's coming over. Nice.
A really simple question. Is LocalGov Drupal global at all? And if not, do you guys collaborate with councils and governments of other countries?
It's so Ireland, the councils in Ireland are using it already, so it is UK and Ireland primarily. Sweden, Switzerland, no, who are the guys in Europe?
We've had conversations with a couple of agencies in Sweden, Drupal Community.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Catchbox. We've spoken to a couple of Swedish Drupal agencies who are, I think, either working in the public sector and kind of looking at figuring out how to do that. I've spoken to an agency in America. We had interest in Australia. Germany's doing quite a lot already. So yes, but no.
Yeah, we
You know
don't.
what I mean?
There's not active collaboration in any other country other than Ireland that we know of at the moment, but people are interested.
Nothing at scale.
Italian museums.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
There's an Italian museum on LocalGov Drupal.
Yeah, there are other people using LocalGov Drupal for non-local government things as well, which is cool. And there was Vietnam or someone in Southeast Asia who's like super keen. Sorry, were you? So yeah, no, I mean we're totally open to it, and I mean the Australian government have a whole kind of like distribution as well, like kind of keen to. Yeah, sort of tap into that. I mean, I guess some things like UK councils are quite weird compared to like councils and structures in other countries. So maybe the content types and stuff isn't quite what people need. But yeah, no, we're open to that for sure.
There we go. Yeah, I feel like the migration, maybe AI can help with that one a bit as well.
Yeah. Migration, what, from things like Jadu or?
Yes, that, but also the GitHub.
Oh, the GitHub, yeah.
I think AI can help with that one a lot.
Yeah, okay. That sounds cool. That's a good call.
Yeah, but I think I'm wondering if like the Drupal AI community would benefit from something like this. I wonder because a lot of the problems you're talking about, the things that we're finding is that if people contribute, they want to get something out of it to show that off in some way, and just pure Drupal.org credits just gives you a number that goes up. You don't get to see like what you're good at and what you've contributed in. So yeah, I'm just intrigued like how easy would this be to export as a way of doing things? Because you said the thing about seed money is really important, and that's the other thing is it does feel like setting this up is a lot of work that would be difficult to do without seed money. Mm-hmm. Is that? What do you reckon? Can you see this being something that Drupal AI community could use or not easily?
The model or
the model, yeah.
What is the Drupal AI community? Who are the organisations involved?
Yeah, kind of don't know all that. We've got obviously we do a lot, Freely Give, and there's just a lot of companies that are just contributing to it.
Yeah.
and we're just working a lot together in different areas. But I keep thinking like Drupal AI being just freely give is never going to scale that well. There's so many different areas of it that something like this is what we've been thinking about making. Like we talk a lot about in our little community. I'm just wondering how easy this is to plant on it. Like, okay, we follow this method or whatever.
From what I've seen, I think it just takes a start of two organisations who are willing to collaborate, right? So like in that case, it was Croydon and Brighton in the first place, and then some seed money to like work out what it means to collaborate. However, if they're private sector organisations, then maybe they've already got some money and they can decide to collaborate and maybe set up some kind of cooperative venture that is co-owned by the people, you know, and structures around it. And that's something that we can definitely share with, you know, anyone, the sort of the ways of setting up the co-op and articles, that kind of stuff that, you know, make it clear, open, fair, democratic, non-profit, and it's about collaboration rather than competition. But yeah, these structures that, you know, are relatively tried and tested, and I guess then it depends on the, you know, bringing more people into that. But happy to talk more about that.
I don't know anything about LocalGov Drupal, I'm just discovering, but how far do you go in terms of functionalities offered to the councils with Drupal? And do you come across often ERP solutions that are used by the council? And if so, are they open source also most of the time?
What's ERP stand for?
ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, like SAP, NetSuite, you know, to organize all the invoicing, procurement, inventory, and blah, blah, blah.
LocalGov Drupal is very much just for the public-facing website, the citizen-facing kind of corporate site. You know, a bunch of content types, configuration, and workflow, and you know, that sort of stuff. We are starting to see, like, form submissions, web form being integrated with other things, other APIs, other CRMs, or payment gateways, and that becoming a common thing, but nothing further than that so far. Loads more questions. I don't know how you democratically decide where to throw it.
Sorry for that.
Thank you. So, it's an open source project, producing open source things that can be used by everyone. It's clearly in the public good. So, when are you going to apply to the DPG Alliance?
I was asking Erin earlier whether we had or not. We have definitely discussed it, and Will might have started the application, and maybe we finished. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. I think, yeah. I think we kind of half filled out the form, but definitely we should be listed as the digital public good. Yeah. We will. Sorry for the delay.
Anybody else?
There was a firm up the back there. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh God, that's a closer one. I'm not there.
Right, okay, so every single district council on your list and every single county council on your list is not going to exist by 2027, which means all their websites, unfortunately, will be defunct because they won't. There'll all be new organisations starting from scratch. This is a major opportunity. Go and speak to Mr. McMahon, the Minister, because all of these councils are also going to be brassic, which means they won't be able to afford a new website. And we know that my district council spent $250,000 on their website, right? Go see Mr. McMahon and say, can we put together unitary and strategic authority, nucleus, open local.gov websites, which you can say, use these off the shelf, hire an agency to develop it for yourself because each one will be different in respects. I think you could get that seed money you need.
I think you're right. And Tim, do you want to answer that a bit more? Or? Yes. Rugby.
We've got a meeting in the diary with one of the junior ministers, so yeah, we're on it. Thank you.
Good call.
Just
Thank you.
on your point there about the councils being bankrupt, I think that's a selling point of LocalGov Drupal. Like we've taken about £1 million from the government to build what we build. So any council who wants to start off with our website has basically got £1 million website starting off. Every council that needs the same feature set, whether you're a city of Boston or whether you're someone small like, say, my local council, Laois, back in Ireland, you still need to list your services, your events, your news, things like that. The more bankrupt councils are, the more draw they should have towards something like LocalGov Drupal. And, you know, so I don't see the idea that they're all going to be bankrupt, they can't afford it. The damn thing's free. You know, it is one of our selling points. I think that's a great selling point.
So the local government association thinks a quarter of councils will be bankrupt.
Yep.
By claiming what's called section 114 before they are disbanded. It's astonishing. It's like perfect.
Yeah, we've got some interesting challenges and opportunities coming up, for sure. I guess we should probably have this as the last question and then break for coffee. Cause, go on then.
So first of all, if I understand correctly, the fees that organisations pay are based purely on the number of staff they have.
Yeah.
Which I think is great, but also that the tier that they get put in is based purely on their level of contribution.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
So that I think is, I think that's to be commended, because I think that's a really good approach. It's not sort of you can pay more to get in a higher tier.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've forgotten what my actual question was.
I mean, that
oh yeah, sorry.
I mean, that was stolen / borrowed directly from the Drupal Association,
Right.
so that it's good ideas stick.
So
right?
in your example, you had the sponsoring organisation as LocalGov Drupal. Is that how you tell what is being credited, or because I think that leaves out the councils? So would it be that you're crediting Cambridgeshire Council or whatever council the work is being sponsored by, and your system will still pick that up, or does it have to be attributed to LocalGov Drupal to be credited?
You can attribute multiple organisations in both categories, I think. So you can have multiple customers and multiple organisations that you're working for. But it's a good question. I mean, like, for example, Andy, developer at Brighton and Hove Council, would probably say for Brighton and Hove, working for Brighton and Hove, but for customer LocalGov Drupal. However, I think that when we actually pull out the issue credits, it's going to be project by project, but also then, we'll just look at the supplier or the council organisations when we're tallying it for those organisations, rather than. So if somebody is working for an organisation and they credit it to somebody else, I think that won't show up on that organisation's credit. But I have yet to actually get to that point where we.
Fair enough.
Look at that,
No, I mean, I think it would be good to have. I mean, actually, it would be quite good if you could have a league table of councils that are how much credit the councils are getting for their work as well, or for the work they sponsored.
Yeah. No, I think increasingly, encouraging councils to do more contribution directly, even as part of their everyday work and volunteer time as well, would be really good. So we'll try and do that and report back next year. Let's leave it there. I guess grab some coffee before the next talk, which is Maria talking about accessibility, but specifically. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you.